Once there was a king who had everything, except what he wanted most: respect. This is a story about what happened when he didn't get it. The king ruled a prosperous kingdom. His people traded with neighboring lands, bought goods, sold their wares. Everyone prospered. The king's palace was filled with treasures, gold, art, the finest foods. He had everything. But the kings of neighboring lands didn't invite him to their councils, didn't seek his advice. They didn't treat him as the greatest king. This bothered him. One day a neighboring king said, "Your bread is good, but ours is better." The king was furious. He called his advisers. "They insulted us. They disrespected me. This cannot stand." The advisers looked confused and said, "Sire, they still buy our bread. Their opinion doesn't stop trade. Our people profit regardless." "No," the king shouted. "They must respect me. They must admit our bread is the best." The advisers waited. "Here's what we'll do," the king said. "We will punish them." "How, sire?" "We will refuse to buy their goods. And to make sure they feel our displeasure, we will charge our own people extra for anything we do buy from them." The advisers blinked. "Sire, that punishes our own people, not theirs." "Exactly. When our people suffer, the other kingdoms will see how serious we are. They'll have to respect us then." The advisers looked at each other and said nothing. The king issued the decree. The tariffs took effect. Merchants who bought goods from neighboring lands now paid extra taxes to their own king. The merchants raised prices to cover the taxes. The people paid more for the same goods. Meanwhile, the neighboring kingdoms shrugged. If he wants to charge his own people more, that's his choice. We'll just sell to other kingdoms instead. Trade didn't stop. It just shifted. The neighboring lands sold elsewhere, but the king's people, they paid more for everything. Bread from the neighboring land that was inferior now cost twice as much because of the tariffs. Wine, double. Cloth, triple. Tools, quadruple. The merchants complained, "Sire, we're paying these tariffs to you, then passing costs to our people. They are suffering." "Good," the king said. "The other kingdoms need to see that we are serious. When our people suffer enough, those kings will apologize." Months passed. The neighboring kingdoms did not apologize. They traded with others. Their economies continued, but the king's people grew poorer, paid more for necessities. Merchants went bankrupt. Families struggled. Still, the neighboring king didn't say the bread was the best. The king sat in his palace, surrounded by gold, eating the finest food, while his people starved. "They will respect me eventually," he muttered. "They must. Look at how much I'm willing to make my people suffer to prove my point." One day, a child asked her mother, "Why are we paying more for everything?" "Because the king is angry," the mother said. "Another king said our bread was not the best." "So the king raised our prices?" "No, our king did, to punish the other king. But we're the ones paying." "Well, yes. So our king is punishing us for what the other king said." The mother paused. Looked at her child. "Yes, that's stupid." "Yes," the mother said quietly. "Yes, yes, it is." But she said nothing more, because the king had declared that questioning the tariffs was treason. So the people paid and paid and paid, while the king sat in his palace waiting for respect that never came. And the neighboring kingdoms traded happily with everyone else. And the king's people grew poorer, all because the king couldn't stand being told his bread was not the best. The king never got the respect that he demanded. The neighboring kingdoms never apologized. They didn't need to. They simply sold elsewhere. But the king's people, they paid the tariffs every day to their king for the crime of a neighboring king's opinion. The king called it strength, making them pay. But his own people were the ones paying, to their own king, who sat in a palace filled with gold while they struggled to buy bread. And the king, surrounded by everything he wanted except respect, would say, "See how much I make my people suffer? Now they must respect me." But they didn't, and they just traded with other kingdoms. And the king's people grew poorer, and the king, who had all the cookies, couldn't understand why no one thought they tasted good.